Florida and Governor DeSantis removes LGBTQ plus inclusive anti-bullying information from the state website. Florida's Department of Education has removed LGBTQ plus inclusive anti-bullying resources from its website. The Florida Capital Star, a right-wing publication, had raised questions about the inclusion of the resources, and last week the DOE took down the information pending review from the portal for the DOE's Office of Safe Schools. The Capital Star appeared to be shocked that the portal included links to LGBTQ plus groups such as GLSEN, which supports LGBTQ plus students and educators. The publication described GLSEN as, quote, part of a billion-dollar network that funds LGBTQ plus groups, and these groups are focused on initiatives that promote gender identity and transgenderism, interesting word, by training leaders in political activism, end quote. The Capital Star also objected to the site having a link to stopbullying.gov, a federal government website that discusses bullying of all types, including anti-LGBTQ plus bullying, and how to end it. Statewide LGBTQ plus rights group Equality Florida denounced the removal of the LGBTQ plus resources, calling it yet another homophobic and transphobic action from the administration of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Equality Florida's executive director Nadine Smith said, quote, attacks on LGBTQ plus students from Tallahassee are fueling a toxic, dangerous environment on the ground. From the passage of explicitly anti-transgender legislation this year to proposed legislation that would jail doctors and parents for providing life-saving medical care to transgender children, a politically motivated assault on the LGBTQ plus community is putting young people at risk. Vulnerable youth deserve better than a DeSantis administration intent on putting them in harm's way in order to score cheap political points, end quote.
This makes me so sad. I mean, don't you want all of students safe in schools?
I mean, any resource that's anti-bullying for any reason, to me, is a good resource. It sort of sounds like Capital Stars being a bully here. Like,
well,
absolutely.
this is predatory behavior from the right wing. They are using children as tools and pawns. They don't care about their well-being. They're just, using them for the, as Nadine said, cheap political points, and it's disgusting.
I didn't have these types of resources available to me when I was a kid, and this administration is making sure that today's generation doesn't either. It's terrible. It's going to be left for, I'm sure they won't be protesting when homophobic coaches and teachers are spouting their hate. And unfortunately, as we're going to learn in an upcoming story, silence kills.
Absolutely.
I had a question to the significance of the story. Of course, we have a common voice in terms of the support of anti-bullying programs and how the state should be involved in it. Why are we not hearing much in the LGBTQ community on this story? Of course, we have Nadine Smith's voice, but broadly, why are we just not, our Facebook feeds are not full of this story? Why is that?
There's so much. I have a theory, is that they're attacking us on all these different fronts, and if they've got us fighting, this little fire here and putting out this little fire here. We're ignoring the broader wildfire that's burning just over the mountain.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid plan, an attack on every front, and you're going to divide people's attention. Frankly, it's easier as a community when we're all fighting marriage equality. We're all united behind one thing. When there's a million different front lines, it's really difficult to stay up in the war.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Your experience, city commissioner here in the gayest place on planet Earth, any recommendations of what you think our community should do, what Wilton Manor should do in responding to what Department of Education is doing?
I think it's really important that we exert, locally, sort of that home rule and decide in our county what are the anti-bullying resources we want to promote, and sometimes that means standing up against what the state Department of Education wants to do. But this is a place we can and should take a stand, for what we stand for.
I also think that organizations like GLSEN and Safe Schools need to be putting this information out, because this is the first time I'm hearing of this, and it's horrible.
And you also get the misinformation campaigns from the right, and you get the people who are like, oh, well, you guys didn't have it, and you grew up fine. I did not grow up fine. I tried to kill
Exactly.
myself as a teenager. It was not a good time for me. If I'd had these resources, that would have made my life so much easier and happier before I came to terms with myself.
Right.
Well, we have to pay attention to the story. And Chris, you're going to keep us in the education front. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus